Okay. Sorry. I started to broadcast and I found that it was broadcasting from my personal page and not from my business page. So if you've been waiting for me to jump on, I'm on now. Um, I'm sorry for being a few minutes late. There was a little bit of a technical difficulty. If you could, uh, send out a link or a post or something saying, "Hey, we're here." Um, but I am on currently, and I'm ready to start addressing some of those questions. I did get a big response from a few people, and so I want to start hitting those. But before I do that, what I want to do is just kind of give you a brief rundown of what um, my law firm is going to be doing during the COVID crisis. Because law practices are considered essential businesses, there's some practices that I'm going to put into place. First off, if you're checking in or you're watching the video now, feel free to jump in and leave a comment about anything that's going on. I am going to ask that you keep it civil. That if anybody's going to make any comments on here, that we try not to use poor language or get political in this post. This post is not about. Or this video is not about our political stances on COVID. I'm trying to help the community here. I want to let everybody know what their rights are. So first off, my law firm is located downtown. I'm in between the Maui Medical Group and the McDonald's in downtown, right across the street from the courthouse. And as such, I have to stay in operation because part of my business is criminal defense. And so it's considered essential right now for me to stay open. So what I'm doing is if you are wanting to contact me to pursue legal matters or get consultations on any of your issues, ranging from criminal defense to landlord-tenant law and a few things in between, please give me a call. I'm still doing video conference consultations as well as over-the-phone consultations. Facebook has a live video chat option, so if you want to consult with me directly on that, we can schedule a time, and I can give you a video chat consultation to discuss your legal matter. Other than that, I'm staying closed. My doors are locked, so I'm not taking any walk-ins at this time. So like I said, if you want to chat and have a consultation about your legal issue, please give me a call or schedule a time for us to meet on Facebook and we can go over things. Typically, I do charge $285 for my consultation, but right now we're going to go ahead and just start waiving all the consultation fees on things because it's going to get tight, guys. It's going to get real tight, and I'm not here to take advantage of people's uh, um, bad situations. So I do a lot of landlord tenant law, and that seems to be a majority of the questions that I got. Stuff about mortgages, stuff about rent, and even some stuff about some businesses. So I'm just going to start going down the line, and actually, I'm gonna address some things really quick, just right out front with landlord tenant issues. Okay, first off, people are gonna start hitting hard times here pretty fast, and so know this. All right, if you have a contract for anything, contracts can be modified if the parties agree to it. And just like every other contract, a rental agreement, whether it's month to month or an annual agreement or a 6 month lease, it's just like every other contract and can be modified. All right, so long as all the parties are in agreement. So if you're a tenant and you need a break, or if you're a landlord and you need help, or you're willing to give help to your tenant, um, then know that you can adjust the contract. Okay, and so what does that mean? So let's say you're a landlord and your tenant comes up to you and says, "Hey, I was working at enter random restaurant name here, and we shut down and we're only doing takeout stuff, and I was one of the people let go for the next little bit, and I have no income for like a little while. Can I get a break on my rent?" And you're a nice landlord, and you're gonna say, "You know what? Yeah, I can afford to give you a break on the rent, but I can only afford to give it to you for 2 months. Here's some things that you want to do." Okay? if you're going to be modifying any rental agreements, you need to get some things in writing. Nothing oral, nothing via text message, nothing on email. I mean, I'm talking you write it out, you have an attorney like me write it out if you want, and then you have a place for two signatures for the landlord and the signature line for the tenants, or if there's multiple tenants, multiple signature lines for the tenants, and a date that it is effective. Okay, so what you want on this is, if you're going to get a break on your rent, you want a definite start date that the break is going to begin. All right, so if I'm going to start giving my tenant a 50% discount on rent, I'm going to say in that writing that it starts on April 1st, or whenever you guys want to start it, that it's going to be a certain amount of discount. So, 25%, 10%, whatever you want to do, a complete break on it, whatever you want to do, and that it's going to end on, I don't know, June 1st. Okay, so what is that? A month break, 2 month break. Okay, you got to have those definite terms. All right. And then if I was a landlord, and I do have to throw this out here, that because there's no attorney-landlord or attorney-client privilege or attorney-client relationship established here, that I'm not giving people a legal advice. This is just general legal information, and you need to understand that each situation is a little different, and what I'm giving is general advice. And so if you're taking it as this applies to everybody and to me at the same time, that may not be the case. So like I was saying, if I was a landlord and I gave them a break that said it started on April 1st, it ends on June, and it's a such and such amount break on my rent, I'm going to put in there that I want the contract to be extended by the certain amount of months that I gave a break. So if I give you a 2-month break, I'm typically going to put it in that contract that the lease is also extended 2 months, right? That way, as a landlord, I'm getting my full 12 months or my full 6 months, or if it's a 3-month lease or whatever, I'm getting that full amount. So that's kind of just my general overview of what you can do as a landlord and a tenant right now, okay? But a lot of what I got, questions I got, revolved around, what's next? What happens after the break is given? Okay, so the first question comes from a woman named Kathy P. I'm not going to give out last names, but thanks, Kathy, for your question. And it essentially came down to, okay, so I talked to my tenant. We're going to give him a break, but how do I go about paying my land taxes or my utilities, right? So this is something that you can put into that little agreement I was talking about. Let's say you're going to give them a break on their rent. Let's say it's $1,750 for the apartment or the house, right? You say, okay, I'm going to give you a break on the rent, $1,750. But because I'm giving you the break, you need to pay the utilities and land taxes, which come out to such and such. That's one option where you can keep the price down. That phone, that you hear my phone ringing, I am in my office, and I haven't shut my phones off, so I apologize for the ringing phone in the background. I will get their voicemail, and I'll call them back after I'm done with this. So that's one option. You can make an agreement with the tenant to pay the taxes and the utilities for you if you do decide to give them the break on the rent, which is something that's a lot easier to do. Or you can talk to them about having it or whatever. It's up to you, but get everything in writing about how you're going to do that. All right. Now, I do understand that there are a few things coming down the pipeline. There's a COVID Relief Act that's been debated the last couple of days, and so far it hasn't been passed. But it's like a federal grant. I know that Trump is trying to give out like somewhere between $1,200 and $2,000 to the general citizenry to help alleviate some of the financial burdens, and I think it's specifically geared towards people not losing their homes. So that's one option that you can pay for your land taxes, your utilities. The other option is, at this time, I know it's going to be really hard, and I actually think that there will probably be an increase in people's utility bills because people are going to be inside their homes. Lights are going to be on, air conditioners are going to be running more, TVs are going to be running more. Another bit of advice that I can give you that has nothing to do with the law but has everything to do with your pocketbook is try to find activities and things that don't require you to have the power on. That don't require the air conditioner to be running, and try to alleviate some of that cost so that you can spend your money on what's important. like food. Um, so that's the best I can do with that land tax utility advice there. I know that uh, you can usually talk to any of your service providers and discuss certain things like payment plans, late payments, those kind of things. And so at this time, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be shutting everybody's power off if they're a month late. I don't know about 2 months late, but I'm definitely not advising you to not pay. But call them, talk to them, see what kind of relief situations they've got going. If they're planning on giving anybody relief. Also, there's a little comment thing on the side that you can jump in and you can leave comments, or you can ask follow-up questions on anything I'm talking about. If new questions pop up, or you're somebody that jumped on and is watching and you didn't ask me a question earlier and you want to ask your question now, please leave a comment, let me know. Or if you just want to make fun of the fact that I didn't do my hair today because I wasn't really planning on going on and doing this, you can definitely do that as well. So thanks, Kathy, for your question. The short answer is see if you can't get your tenant to help pay for it. And if you can't get them to help pay for it, then call your utility providers and see what kind of options they have for pausing payments and those kind of things. All right. The next question comes from a Pauline C. Pauline asks, is it true that there are no evictions happening during the lockdown? And what about illegal subletting? It is not necessarily true that evictions are not happening during the lockdown. And to fully answer that question, I've got to give you a breakdown of how evictions actually work. So in a situation like this, what's most likely going to happen is people aren't paying their rent. So in the landlord-tenant code, there is a section that requires landlords to give 5-day notice in the 5 business days, not 5 days including the weekend, 5 business days for a tenant to cure the defect in their rent, in other words, pay rent, or vacate. And if they fail to do either, then there's, in the statute, there's the relief that the landlord can now file an eviction action, or what is called in the courts is a complaint for summary possession. All right, and that is a complaint to take possession of the property back from the tenant. Now, you can file that complaint after that 5th day of non-payment. However, does that mean they get kicked out right then? Or if they don't pay at the end of the 5 days or leave at the end of the 5 days, can you go and change the locks or call the cops and have them removed? You can't. You can't have the cops remove them. You can't change the locks unless you get a court order from a judge. How long does it take to get a court order from a judge? Well, that's the big question mark right now. So it's not necessarily that evictions aren't happening during the lockdown. It's that the cases for those evictions are not being heard right now. Okay, the court has put priority on cases that they're going to hear as far as based on time limitations. Okay, so for example, if you're arrested and you're in custody, the statutes of the Constitution basically says that the court needs to have your arraignment, or the hearing where you're told what you're charged with, and you give a plea of no contest, not guilty, or guilty. You have to have that arraignment and plea hearing within 48 hours after being incarcerated, unless you're incarcerated over the weekend. Okay. Now, if you're out of custody, boom, they're not hearing these things until like May. All right, May and June. So what does that mean for civil matters like evictions? They're not hearing those until May or June anyways. So we're looking at a month and a half before any of the court cases are being called. So you can give them 5 days, and if they don't pay their rent, or you don't pay your rent, and you're served with a summary complaint for summary possession on day 6, well, most likely the hearing date for the return on answer, or the date where you first make your appearance in court, isn't going to be until late April, after April 30th, actually, so May, and some cases even out in June. So you're not having evictions happening because cases aren't being heard right now. But that does not mean that people aren't going to be evicted. or not evicted because of not paying. It's going to take longer for that process to work out. Typically, when there's no emergency crisis going on, that hearing, that first answer hearing for a tenant to deny the accusations against them or to admit to the accusations against them happens really quick, within 2 weeks. But not right now. They're not happening until way out in May and June. Okay, so yes, eviction proceedings can continue. It's just that the courts are not going to hear that until May or June. And even after that first hearing, they typically don't make the decision to evict on that date unless the tenant admits to not paying the rent at that hearing. And so it's even possible that it could be further out, because what will happen is the judge will hear the tenant go, no, I deny the allegations in the complaint. And the judge goes, okay, we're going to set this for trial June, blah, blah, blah. And it could be even further out. Okay. So the point I'm getting at is, and a really long answer to Pauline's short question is, evictions are still happening as far as serving complaints being filed, notices are being given to pay rent or get out, or in this case where if somebody's doing something illegal, the 10 days to fix that problem is being given before the eviction process starts. It's just when the judge signs the order, or what's called a judgment for possession and a writ of possession, that tells the cops or you have the right to remove them from the property and change the locks type thing. That's not happening until way out, okay? So this is by no means a suggestion to any tenants out there that you should not pay your rent if you haven't agreed to with your landlord to get a break on the rent, okay? Thanks, Sweet Leaf. You're welcome. I'm happy to give my time on that, and I'll get to your question right now then. So Sweet Leaf Sanders, who's commented on this, says, as tenants, what are our rights regarding late rent and eviction? So I just told you a little bit about what your rights are with late rent, but essentially, just because there's a pandemic crisis, it doesn't necessarily put any of the statutes on hold. That it doesn't make things improper if you stop paying rent because there's a pandemic going on. Your rights as tenants are essentially the same as they were before the break, before the pandemic, and you can find that in Hawaii's landlord tenant code. The landlord tenant code is section 571 or 521 in the Hawaii Revised Statutes. You can also just jump online and Google Hawaii Landlord Tenant Handbook, and there's the Department of Consumer and Commerce and Consumer Affairs has released a landlord tenant handbook that kind of outlines your rights in layman's terms. However, it is a handbook that translates stuff into you and me English. So what I'm saying is, read it, but it's not going to be 100% clear, and there's always exceptions to the rules. So call a landlord attorney like me, and I can help you go through it. But your rights are not going to change just because the pandemic is happening. And I tell all my clients this: any right you have now, you can always contract out of it or contract more rights, okay? Contracts can change anything. And people go, well, what do you mean I can contract out of rights? Well, the perfect answer to that is non-disclosure agreements, right? You settle a case, or you get hired by, what's his name from 50 Shades of Grey, John Gray or whatever his name is. You sign his non-disclosure agreement and you can't talk about it. Well, that's what makes it legal, is you can contract out of your right to free speech, right? So you can contract out of your tenant rights. So it's always important to look at what your lease says, okay? Because like the landlord tenant code says, you have 5 days to pay your rent or get out. You can contract out of that. You can have in your contract, in your lease agreement, that says, hey, you only have 3 days to pay. And you agree to it and you sign it, and now that statute doesn't apply to you. Your lease applies to you. So your rights are the same as they were before, and you can modify your agreements with your landlords just by sitting down and talking with them and trying to use civil discourse in it and get things in writing. Okay, get everything in writing. And when I say get things in writing, and I always get questions like, well, does a text message work, or does an email work? No, those are not. That's not writing. Get it written down on a piece of paper that people can sign and acknowledge that they saw it. Okay, so I'm sorry if that doesn't answer your question completely, Sweet Leaf, but you have a right to go and talk to your landlord about changing things. All right. Now that doesn't mean that you can't bring up COVID as a defense to not paying the rent if you have to go through the trial, but that also doesn't mean that the court has to take losing your job because of COVID as a valid defense to not paying rent. Unfortunately, the statutes are really bright line, and it says if you don't pay rent and the landlord gives you 5 days notice, and it's legal that he gives you the 5 days notice, in other words, he does it properly, there's not a whole lot that can happen. And so it's very important that you talk to your landlords to discuss modifying your agreements if you're going to be affected by this thing. And to be completely honest, I don't see a way for any of us that are stuck on this little tiny island to not be affected by this. All right. I saw a picture posted on one of my friends' Facebook pages earlier that showed the parking lot for the rental cars completely full. Just the rental car parking lot's completely overflowed. And if you drive past Costco and out to the airport out here, you'll see that the overflow for the rental cars is all over the place. And so everybody's getting hit with it. And so I think we should be civil with each other. Landlords should be understanding. And tenants should also be understanding as well. Because an important thing to remember is, not all of the landlords on this island are people from California or Canada or from New York or whatever that are rich people that have, a second home that they're renting out. The majority of my landlord clients are people that are right here from Maui that, own the second home or inherited the second home, and they're not by any means wealthy people, and they use it as a way to supplement their income or to pay their mortgages. And if there's no renter or no rent being paid, they can't pay their mortgage, and they're in danger of losing their house. So you're in danger as a tenant of not having a place to live, and they're in danger of actually losing a home. So there's a lot of understanding that needs to be going around, and that is not meant to be a political statement or anything like that. It's just, right now we all need to be each other's friends. All right. So that was Sweet Leaf's question. A guy named L.A. Johnny had something along the same lines. I hope that answered his question. Sweetleaf follows it up by saying, do month-to-month rental agreements differ from long-term ones, 6 months and longer, and how long the procedure or days are given for eviction? No, they do not change from month to month or to 6 months or anything like that. The statute is very clear. If you're going to proceed with an eviction based on non-payment of rent, the landlord has to at least give the tenant at least 5 days to cure the non-payment of rent. Okay? And that's 5 business days. So if they serve you with a 5-day notice to pay on a Friday, right? Saturday and Sunday don't count in the 5 days. It's 5 business days. So they got to give you until Friday the next week. Okay? So I hope that answers your question on that one. The procedure doesn't change as well. So once something is filed in the court, the time frame for starting the legal action to the end of the legal action doesn't really change. So there you go on that one. Let's see here. I've got 2 questions revolving around mortgage payments. So I've got an Ella M and an Al J that said, what about mortgage payments? And so here's what about mortgage payments. In some cases, in some cases, in all cases, call your lender or your mortgage servicer to discuss with them what kind of relief options they have, if any. Now, I know that one of those questions, they said that they had called the lender and they weren't going to give them a break. However, that's probably not necessarily true because the given what I think is going to happen with the housing market and what we're already starting to see with the housing market, just in Kihei alone, we've watched some of the houses around us drop $20,000 in the last month, and I think that the asking price of homes is going to drop, and so it's not a good time for lenders to start foreclosing on people, and then trying to turn around and sell those homes, because while there are still lots of people out there with money, there's also a lot of people that lost a whole bunch of money in markets, in home values, and people's cash in the next little bit is going to be strapped. So I don't think it's a good time for them to start foreclosing on people. And what that's going to do is it's going to open you up to more options with your lender. It might not even be a bad time to go talk to a mortgage broker or a bank on loan modifications or refinancing at the time to see if you can get better interest rates based on what's going on right now, because the interest rates have dropped quite a bit. I've got a friend, his name's Ryan Hertz. He's a guy in Kihei. I coach his kid on my baseball team, and he handles that kind of stuff. And so if you search Ryan Hertz, give him a call and ask him what kind of questions, or ask him your questions about loan mods, those kind of things. I did find in my researching these questions, and yes, I did, when you asked me questions that I didn't know the exact answer to immediately, I did jump on the internet and I was researching your questions. I did find that if your loan for your house is serviced through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are already starting to implement some COVID relief programs. And what I was able to find is that they're giving people breaks, in some cases complete pauses on their payments, in some cases 2 months and up to 12 months. Okay, so if you are if your loan is being serviced through Freddie Mae or Fannie Mac or Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, call them up and see what you can do to take advantage of it. I did briefly read through it, and there are some things that you have to qualify for in order to take advantage of those breaks or those reliefs. So call them up and find out. But that's the same thing with everybody's mortgage lender. Call them up and say, hey, I was a hotel manager, and our hotel, like the Fairmont, is going to shut down completely. So, if you're working at the Fairmont and you're going to get furloughed or whatever, call up your mortgage lender and say, hey, look, I'm being furloughed because of this thing. Is there any relief that I could get on this? And talk to your mortgage people, because I don't think they're going to want to foreclose on people. But that's just an opinion. That's not necessarily what's going to happen. I doubt that they're going to want to foreclose on a bunch of people. So talk to your mortgage people and find out what you can do. There are several law firms. I don't handle it, but there are several law firms that do foreclosure defense on this island, as well as on Oahu. And it would be a good idea to talk to them if things start getting bad and your mortgage lender is not, or mortgage servicer is not working with you on it. So I hope that answers a little bit of your question there, Al and Ella. Okay, so I'm just going to address a couple more questions that I got in advance that I wrote down on my sweet little yellow legal pad. Evan K. Asked earlier about, can he pay half rent and not get evicted? That goes back to what I was talking about a little bit earlier. If you pay half rent, you can get evicted because your landlord can technically ask you for the rest of it. So before you stop paying your rent, and I'm going to reiterate this many times, before you stop paying rent, tenants, talk to your landlords, see if you can come to an agreement with them on modifying your lease agreement to allow for some relief or a break, and get it in writing, not text message, not email, but actually a physical piece of paper that has a physical signature and date of those signatures fixed to it, okay? Get it in real writing. And I think that might have answered John Saw's question. I missed the first part of the stream, so since people can't work, landlords can still evict and try to force a payment? ? Yes, they still can. But like I was telling everybody at the beginning of this broadcast, John, is that the eviction proceedings are being pushed out way out into May and May and June. Sorry, I had a little bit of a for a second. Being pushed out there. So I mean, the eviction processes are being pushed out, so you're not going to be removed from your home, but that doesn't mean stop paying rent. That means before you stop paying rent or before you get into any legal trouble, like I said before, talk to your landlord, see if you can get a modification of your lease or any relief, get it in writing, and hold on to it and use it as evidence if they try to evict you later on. Okay? So I hope that answers your question a little bit, John. Sorry you missed the first part of it. You're welcome, Al. I was glad I was able to help you. Okay, the next one comes from a good friend who just opened up a Shave Ice Shack down in Kihei. If you're not familiar with them, I'm going to give them a shout out. This is free advertising for you guys. It's called Peace Love Shave Ice. They have 2 locations. They have a location in Azekas, and they have a location down at that Kihei Marketplace right next to the Oceanside Surf Building, right across from Kalaman Park and Cove Park. They took over the old Shave Ice stand. You can't miss it. It's that giant blue thing on the left-hand side of the road if you're heading south, and it's got all these lights on it. Go check them out. Get the lily koi. It's amazing. But she goes and she asks that she wants to know about her landlord. And so if you have a landlord that says, and you're a business owner, okay, hopefully I've got some business owners checking in on this one. If you've got a contract that says you have to be open, all right, 7 days a week, and there's a fine if you're not open for that day, go ahead and not worry about it, because right now you're under a moratorium. And one thing, remember earlier in the broadcast I was saying you can contract to more rights and contract out of rights that already exist. Well, one thing you can never do is have a contract to break the law. Right now, there is a moratorium out there that's saying starting on Wednesday that non-essential businesses have to shut down, and they have to be, or if they're like a restaurant or something like that, it has to be takeout only, those kind of things. Now, I don't know if a Shave Ice stand is non-essential or essential. Depends on who you ask. If you ask my 10-year-old, Shave Ice is essential. So if you have to shut down because of it, and there's something in your agreement that says you have to be open 7 days a week, or you'll face a $350 fine, well, that's too bad, landlord. You can't force your tenants to do something illegal. And if you are open or breaking the moratorium right now, it is a misdemeanor. And if you get arrested for this misdemeanor, please call me, because I'm also a criminal defense attorney. And the punishment for these misdemeanors is up to a year in jail and or a $5,000 fine. So don't break the law because your contract says you have to, because that part of the contract, at least for the time that it's illegal, does not apply to you anymore. And that is an official legal opinion, not legal advice about general stuff. So there you go. Peace, love, Shave Ice. Don't worry about your $350 fine. You're not going to get hit with that. Okay. I think that's all the questions I got. I'm going to pull up my Facebook page really quick and on my phone and see if there's any new questions that we haven't hit. And if there are new questions that I haven't been able to hit, let me know. Let's see here. Someone was asking whether or not there'll be refreshments. I wish. Go see my friends at the Shave Ice stand before you get there. Before it goes. Let's see here. All right, any new questions while I've got you here? But I'm not seeing anything posted to the Facebook page. So, with that being said, I'm going to probably wrap this up here really quick. I want you guys to go ahead and check out my old videos. This one was mostly just an information dump, but if you jump online on my Facebook page on James Attorney at Law LLC, you'll see a bunch of old videos that I made. I make them entertaining and fun. I want to say thanks to everybody who's shared and watched my videos. The last video I posted got about 8,000 views, which was really cool and exciting for me because, to tell you the truth, I got into being an attorney because I wanted to help people. And the more people who see my videos, the more people who see these live broadcasts, the more people I can help. And so keep sharing, keep liking my videos. Go check out the old ones. They're funny as well as informing. I had a person tell me the other day that they have a hard time watching my videos because they end up missing things because they're laughing too hard. So go check them out. They're fun, but they're also informative. Also, if you need further help, I can only give you a little bit of information through these videos. But if you need actual consultation with an attorney, like I said, I'm going to be waiving my consultation fees here through the end of April. And call me up. Let's do an official consultation, and let's see how I can help you get through your legal matter. I don't just do landlord-tenant law and criminal defense. I do estate planning. I do probate. And so those two things that revolve around end-of-life stuff. So I'm going to throw a plug on those really quick. And I'm not, trying to take advantage of people's fears or anything like that. But this whole thing is kind of a wake-up call for a lot of people. And so if you are a person that hasn't planned for what's next, give me a call and let's talk about putting together an estate plan for you. And what I mean by that is if you need a will, powers of attorney, healthcare directives, let me know if I can help you. I'd love to help you with those things. I provide services for those. And now's as good a time as any to get that taken care of, just so that you're prepared just in case things don't go well. But I hope everybody stays healthy, stay safe. Please follow the mandated shutdown or stay-at-home order. Nobody needs to get arrested for walking about without any reason. And help keep our old folks safe, keep our kapuna safe and our grandparents safe by not spreading this disease around. Be responsible. It's not just about us. It's about, or you, it's about everyone. And thanks for tuning in. I'm glad that I was able to help a few people. Share this video, like it. If you have any more comments, comment to the video and I'll get back to you. The next thing I'm going to throw out there is if there is something that you think I need to talk about in my next video, my videos typically around 5 minutes, and if you think there's something that the general public would benefit from knowing about, let me know. I'll make my next video about the next about whatever you guys suggest that I think also is a good video to post. So let me know what you want to hear about. Thanks for tuning in, and you can always call me at 808-419-6937 to schedule appointments or to discuss your case. You can send me messages here, or you can send me emails at josh@jameslawmaui.com. You can also visit my website at jameslawmaui.com. They have a contact page. I have a contact page there, and I look forward to hearing from you if you need any help. And thanks for watching, guys.